Welcome in, everyone. My name is Gracey with Northern Astrology, and we are here today an hour or so, about a couple hours away from the solar eclipse in Virgo at 29 degrees, right on my IC. So you are going to be watching a moon-ruled person in real time navigate eclipse season as it happens, and I will be safely indoors. As you can see, the blinds are shut, not because I'm afraid of eclipse season, just because I'm simply ready for the backlight to, kind of die down a little bit. So I'm not trying to have the windows open. You can have your windows open. The baleful rays from the eclipse permeate all structures, so no one's really safe, from the effects of this eclipse and the impacts of this eclipse. This one is going to be a very, very embodying type of lunation. We have to put our thoughts and words into action and serve our daily habits for the greater good. And that's what this time is all about, depending on where this eclipse is happening in your chart. Like I said, mine is happening directly on my IC, which means that it's opposite my MC. So it's super fun right now, feeling like all eyes are on me and yet none at the same time. And it's been just kind of a very, I would say, calm before the storm type of energy. So if you've been feeling it too, I do not blame you. If you are a fellow moon-ruled person, aka you are a Cancer rising, this is our Super Bowl season. The eclipse season is just to get through it. These are our playoffs. You have a couple weeks in between to prepare and relax, and then you just got to go full throttle. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm getting right back into the swing of things. As we mentioned last week, we have very much a jam-packed season ahead, kicking off things with an eclipse on the 7th for the Chiefs, just right before they played down in Brazil, then coming back to the eclipse midpoint. They came back home and lost that game as well. So the Chiefs are 0-2 start. I have an 0-2 start as predicting the games, but at least I've got Red Hawk here. Thank you so much for your excitement for the show, Red Hawk. I really appreciate it. Today, we are going to be looking at the game chart from start to finish. We go house by house. We start with the rising sign, which is where every astrology chart starts. And you go from there. From the rising sign, what kicks off the first house. From the first house, we go to the second house, see what rules over the second house, as in planet or luminary. Signs can't rule over houses, but celestial bodies such as the luminaries or planets can. Sometimes people are like, oh, my second house is ruled by a Gemini, and it's like, it's ruled by Mercury. It's ruled by Mercury, not Gemini. So it doesn't matter where, you start learning charts. It's about the process that you develop on the way there. My process might not be the same as your process, and your process might look completely foreign to me. It might be something that's like, what in the world is this person doing? But is all about keeping an open mind. I have kept an open mind because sports astrology is something that changes radically week to week. I'm still figuring out what houses mean what in the game chart. Some people use horary astrology, where they ask a question like, will this team win today? They cast the chart, and that's how they figure out sports outcomes. The thing about this is, I'm not a mathematician, but I do know a few basic things. Outcomes of sports events are a 50-50 chance. So when you can predict something that's either a yes or a no, there's a strong chance that anyone that wants to get in on the action will pull up any sort of stat to be like, okay, well, when the temperature is 70 degrees on Thursdays, this team ends up winning by 7 points. You can make anything into a stat. I simply choose to use astrology because that's what I speak in. If you're lucky enough to know me in person, you know that it's so much easier to talk to me when you know the planets and you know the language of the stars. But, at the same time, I'm an Aries, so I'm a great starter astrologer. If somebody's wanting to learn, I can usually break things down in terminology that helps people. Like if you're into cars, I will try to help you put things together. I'm not like a mechanic or car expert by any means, but if you're into horses, I can relate things to horses. If you're into animals and wildlife in general, I can relate to that. If you are somebody that learns better by examples of like other people or characters in a show, that's also something that I relate to things. So it's really all about how you want to start learning. And if your learning process is through watching and following along, you're in the right place. I am happy to share all the things that I have up in this big old head of mine. And my hair's so big because it's full of secrets. And it's not anyone else's secrets, it's just cosmic secrets. So that's exciting. All right, we're going to go right into the Chiefs game today. We have the chart here brought to you by my wooded background. I love it. It makes me very happy. So we're going to keep this background here. It's just like, oh, I'm in the woods. Yes, it's beautiful. All right, so today's game, speaking of beautiful and speaking of beauty, we have a Venus ruled chart for today's game. So as you can see at the 9 o'clock position in this chart, if it was a clock, then you would look at it like 9 o'clock. You can see the 6 degrees Taurus. That's that little circle with the half circle on top of its head. For the horns of Taurus. Taurus risings are ruled by Venus as Venus rules Taurus. And that means that Venus today is the most important sign or important placement in the chart that is known as the chart ruler. So we are looking at Venus and Virgo at 3 degrees in that 5th house. So a 5th house Venus needs to express itself creatively. And since this Venus is in Virgo, I am going to go ahead and say that obsessive detail could be absolutely a thing, as well as openly criticizing others. Or it's like heartfelt criticism, right? 5th house Venus needs a creative outlet to shine. So today's game is going to need to be incredibly creative, and I'm not going to say fast paced, but it's going to have to be incredibly creative. And since Virgo is ruled by Mercury, having a Mercury ruled Venus can kind of feel like a little bit of a cerebral experience and like more of an analytical experience than so much a romantic experience. So today is for the stat nerds. Today is going to be a very stat heavy game and a game that talks a lot about the numbers. So you can definitely see whenever a Mercury ruled Venus is influencing a chart, numbers are going to be very loud today. I know that going into this, the Virgo that we all know on the Chiefs, Mr. Patrick Mahomes, hasn't had the best start to this year. You know, being 0-2 is not something that Mahomes is quite used to, nor is he comfortable with that kind of setup. That just means that we're going to see some very high-powered and very active movement coming from anyone with Virgo placements today. Also could be very vocal and critical of others. The 5th house does rule kind of the self and the creative self and the expression of self, whereas the 1st house rules over the personal appearance and the personal image and the personal expression. So there can be a little, I know, personal expression versus self-expression. Personal expression is like the way that you present yourself to the world versus self-expression, where to me that means like you're creating something magical and expressing the feelings that live within through some sort of artistic medium. So that's just how I look at things. You are welcome to look at your own things your own way and start your own show. Because, yeah, I'm just out here doing live streams, and it'd be cool if other people were doing it too. This is like one of the only occasions that I'm like, hey, you know, when it's like a 2 or 3 hour show and I'm going on my 2nd or 3rd hour and it's just me yapping the entire time, I'm like, now would be a great time for a producer or a co-host. But, you know, Aries women, we got to roll solo. And so that's what I'm doing this year. Going into the 1st house, we do see Uranus and Gemini in that 1st house. So the start to the game, as well as the kind of back and forth energy between teams, you know, they could easily have some personal hand problems again today. You know, with Uranus and Gemini, there's always something happening with the hands, whether it's sudden movement, sudden chaos, electricity. There could be electric hand connection, hand arms, leg work is more Sagittarius. So that's where we would find any sort of like hustling, or with Mercury, the running of the feet, which Patrick Mahomes has been doing quite a lot this Virgo season. Looking at the Uranus and Gemini, seeing that it trines Pluto retrograde, as well as the fact that Uranus is stationed retrograde as well. So there might be a little bit slower of the electricness that we see, but gradually and eventually it will show up. The 2nd house, which is where I find the pace of the game, is ruled by Mercury, and we see Mercury in Libra in that 6th house. So I think it's going to be a very physical game. On top of verbal spats back and forth, I think we're going to see some like people trying to mediate between people. Maybe we have a guy that's like the glue guy this game that keeps the one side or the other completely balanced and in control. We'll see. Let me take a look at that 6-degree Taurus rising, because we haven't talked about my favorite thing in the world yet. Sabian symbols. Yay. If you guys are new here and are not sure what Sabian symbols are all about, Sabian symbols are the channeled symbols that were downloaded 100 years ago in Balboa Park at an unrecorded date. Balboa Park is in San Francisco area, and they were from Elsie Wheeler, who is a very talented clairvoyant and psychic, and was able to have her partner, Mark Edmund Jones, just tell her, okay, new flashcard. And she wouldn't know what degree of the zodiac was on that flashcard, but he had all 360 degrees of the zodiac put out on flashcards, and would just pull one and be like, hey, what symbol is this? And so a couple times, they had to go back over it because the symbol was a little bit erratic or a little bit all over the place. And when Mark would pull those cards, Elsie had disabilities and had a lot of handicaps, so it's not like she was able to see them very easily or maneuver herself to see them very easily. The card would be pulled back out, and Elsie would once again channel the exact same symbol that came to her earlier. So these are very tried and true. The actual flashcards are located in Austin, Texas, which is insane. I can't wait to go visit them. And they just tell us a lot about the chart. So kicking off at 6 degrees Taurus, we have in our handy dandy book here, a bridge being built across a high, narrow gorge. I'm reading backwards on a screen. I hope you guys know that. Very, very poignant degree, very much about bridging the gap, so to speak, very much about breaking down barriers and making sure that people are working together and realizing that in order to get somewhere, you have to work in teams usually. So, the 7 degree of Taurus is one of my favorite degrees of Taurus, mostly because it has my son's name in there. The woman of Samaria comes to draw water from Jacob's well. This is a symbol calling for universal love to be available to everyone. What a beautiful symbol for the rising of today's game. This is the truth degree. The exact degree is known as the karmic degree. So that's what we looked at with 6 degrees Taurus. So the truth degree at 7 degrees Taurus is all about past lives, new ideas being revealed, about one's integrity, social and spiritual integrity. And then the solution degree is 8 degrees Taurus, a sleigh without snow. It's independence from outer circumstances. And normally I would be like, how is this applicable? Chiefs. Let's just put this one out there. Independence from your offensive play calling. Maybe somebody else calls plays besides Matt Nagy. Maybe we have some sort of offensive discipline. Who knows? The Giants, same thing could happen for them. They could feel like a sleigh without snow. They could have all sorts of momentum, and they could have the physical wherewithal, and then the stamina just kind of escapes them. That could be the case here. Definitely going to be interesting to see. Anytime there's a fixed rising, it's usually about a battle of willpower and stamina. So I'm very excited to see how this plays out. Going into the 3rd house, which is also ruled by Mercury, today is going to be a mental battle, especially one when they're tired. When you're tired and when you're literally, physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted, how do you show up? Is it drop passes? Is it making big plays? That 29 degree of Gemini rolling over that 3rd house, that is a very beautiful and anoretic degree of Gemini. And as I have seen the degrees of Gemini and the later degrees of Gemini go, this can be a sign of emotional bankruptcy. In a sports chart, however, it is represented by the first mockingbird of spring sings from the treetop. I kind of feel like this is more of a wake-up call. The anoretic 29 degree of Gemini is a wake-up call. Are you content in this body, this lifetime, this nervous system, or do you want more? Are you safe? Do you feel safe? How is your brain feeling in your own body? How have you nurtured your brain lately? Very much key themes. Going into that 4th house that we see ruled by the moon, which will be past the solar eclipse stage at that point. As we're talking, the moon is building up to that 29 degree solar eclipse in Virgo. And that moon ruled 4th house, the home team. I do see a benefit for the home team, especially with Jupiter there in the 4th house. And the benefit of Jupiter in that fourth house for the Giants is that they can probably put up a lot more points today. That'll be an interesting theory to see how that plays out. Again, going into that fifth house ruled by the sun being at 29 degrees Virgo, almost to Libra season. We are almost to fall equinox. Fall equinox occurs tomorrow, I believe, around like 3 p.m. So we have solar eclipse around 3 p.m. today, fall equinox tomorrow around 3 p.m. Back-to-back busy days, Sunday and Monday. Sunday, of course, ruled by the sun. So today is all about celebrating that sun, the solar eclipse. It's a good day to start anew, clean out your closets, clean out your bathrooms, clean out your cabinets, clean out just piles of things you have laying around, donate things that you no longer wear. It's time to purge. And it's purging of people that you might not need in your life anymore. It's things that you might not need living in your space anymore. It might be getting rid of connections to family members or like mine happening on this solar eclipse happening exact my IC is all about getting back to my roots, getting back to what I know best and really reconnecting with my home, which is what I spent the morning doing, getting everything lined up so I can simply exist and do my show today, which is kind of a fun way to look at life. It's like what I have to get done versus what I have time to get done versus what I need to prioritize. They can all be different sometimes. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and pull up the Giants chart, which we'll be talking about first because I like to do things in whatever order I like to do them in. So today we're looking at the Giants chart. I did pull their founding date, which is August 1st, 1925. So the Giants are also 100 years old, just like the Sabian symbols. How interesting. If you guys want to take a look at that chart, I am going to drink some water and get ready. Shout out Pat McGrath. Lip kits, you're amazing. It's not really lip kit. I made it a lip kit, but the Venus Rose, and I think the other one is Divine Rose. I can't remember which one, but it's two very, very celestial sounding names. But all right, so we've got this Leo Sun Giants team. They've got a Leo Sun, and then they've got that Sagittarius Moon at 28 degrees Sagittarius conjunct the galactic center. I was going to call it core, but we'll call it the center. That's what its name is. But that is a very, very expansive, very big-brained, very fun placement to have. I'm definitely a fan of seeing that there's multiple avenues here for the Giants to go, because with a fire moon, they can be very explosive, very animated, very straight out the gate, like, okay, we are in your face. In the 8th house of today's game might be a little bit more like a boost towards betting on the Giants, maybe some cool prop bets happening today for them. And then we go into the sun for them, because that sun is in the 4th house of today's game, which I think signifies the home team. Their North Node and Lilith are also in the 4th house, so that's very much a sign of being the stars of the show. I can see how they might get a little bit fizzled out. However, they are going through their Venus return, which is usually a boost, but a Venus return in Virgo could be a little bit too critical of themselves. They could get a little bit too scorched today from trying to keep up with the creativity. Having that Neptune and Mars conjunction in the 5th house is going to be interesting to see how that shows up, just because I think that can be a little bit diluted about your abilities physically, or the ability that you have to follow through with those bursts of energy. And especially in Leo, at 22 degrees is their Mars. That's going to be very close to the Chiefs' Mars as well. So we've seen the Chiefs get their personal pride wounded a lot this year with that Leo Mars. So we will see how that plays out for the Giants, as this is one of the first games that I think I've used the Giants chart. So I am learning and going right along with you guys, which is always fun, because I think that being able to have these experiences where I'm like, okay, this is what I know from last year. This is what I know from the year before. This is what I know from studying the moon cycles from 1960s of the Chiefs. We'll just see how it all works out. But the 8th degree of Leo in the Sabian symbols is represented by an activist stirring up discontent by spreading his revolutionary ideals. Very much about not taking it, being very vocal about their beliefs, rights, and things that they support cause-wise. This could be very much a heartfelt showing of effort. This could really help the fans out a lot, seeing that the Giants put up a lionly fight. I was talking about Leo placements with that North Node and Sun conjunction in the 4th house. So definitely see how this is a game for anyone today, which is going to be pretty much the theme of any time there is an eclipse happening on a football game. There's a lot happening today that is quite loud and revolutionary, and I think that it can be a sign that the Giants are going to be here to play hard when that Cancer Pluto is in that 3rd house communication. They might have to tweak and transform the way they speak to each other or the way that they communicate. There could be something with communication that stifles the Giants from being able to give it their all. Looking at the 6th house of today's game, we do see nothing actually for the Giants, because that ascendant is based off of the noon chart, which is not accurate, but that is how we use for the sports teams. We just use noon charts. So if there is a specific time, like in a college football game, like I have the exact time Ohio State first played a down of football, and that was from, I believe, the 1890s or something. So somebody all the way back then had the idea to keep the exact time. I think it was 9:03 a.m. So get you a friend that records every moment of everything so you can go back and look at the astrology of it. That's what astrologers are. We're the timekeepers of friends. It's fine. Looking at that packed 6 house and nothing really for the Giants, I don't think that there should be any like physical injuries or anything terrible for them. That Saturn for them on the start of the 7th house, I do think they learn a lesson against opponents and injuries, like with the opponents, not necessarily like injuries physically, but just they could learn something in accidentally hurting somebody on the other team or a mix up like that. But it's very much a lesson learned by another person or another person helping teach them a lesson. Going into that 8th house where the moon is for the Giants today, once again, a noon chart. This could be a Capricorn moon if the Giants were like, no, we actually formed August 1st at 6:10 p.m. Very easily could be a Capricorn moon. But if, I get these exact times that things were announced or all that, we could definitely see a shift in the charts, and that would be really fun, honestly, to watch. But for now, we have the noon charts, and this is a Sagittarius moon. So they're going to have to get creative. They're going to have to rely on their Jupiter, which is retrograde in Capricorn there in the 9th house. So that could be an interesting way that they show up against the travel team today. Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn, it does kind of feel like later on in life, blessings come to you or things take a little bit while or longer to become successful for you. Seeing that the moon is ruled by that Jupiter retrograde, maybe they don't have the best of odds going in today, but I think prop bets, like I said, will be good for the Giants. Going into the 10th house, which is the public image and how they show up in the spotlight, the South Node is there in between Pallas, Athena, and Pluto, both station retrograde in the 10th house for today's game. That can be they're comfortable in the spotlight. I mean, I think Russell Wilson has been in the spotlight since forever. I think he's been in the league for 20 years now, even though he hasn't. I'm sorry, Russell Wilson. It's because you Instagram captions instead of actually creating them on your own. And I do not respect people who just use Instagram caption generators. So that is why I don't fuck with Russell Wilson. As my full confession, I just think he's cheesy and unoriginal. There it is. Going into the 11th house of today's game, ruled by Saturn, we see that the North Node in Pisces is right there. And since the exact time is not known, that part of fortune for the Giants isn't really applicable. Then we get into the spicy 12th house. So the 12th house, like most things with the 12th house, is where Pisces is home, right? So 12th house is traditionally home to Pisces. So having the 12th house here start at 18 degrees Pisces and having the North Node just a little bit over in that 11th house really shows us that Saturn, Neptune, Ceres, Chiron, and the part of fortune for today's game are all in that mysterious depth of a 12th house. And obviously having a water sign ruled 12th house is going to be, you got to go with the flow. You cannot let outbursts get to you. You cannot let spiritual anger get to you. People will test you. Like, they will test you so much, and it's up to you to decide if you're going to give them that reaction, because that's all we can control in this lifetime, right? So today I really want to take a pause and look at that 12th house, because I have overlooked it at times. I've read too much into it, like I did with the Super Bowl this year, and I was like, oh my gosh, all these 12th house placements for the Eagles, the Chiefs are going to nail it. And then it's like, well, surprise, that's not really the case. So I learned a lot from the 12th house in last year's foray into sports astrology. This year, I am much more convinced that is all about the attitude of the game, and, having so much of the Pisces to Aries to Taurus, having that intercepted 12th house. The Aries, then the anger might be a little bit sandwiched in between the dreaminess and rigidity of today's game. When you have Aries intercepted, like I do in the 10th house, I also have Libra intercepted in the 4th house, and I have no Libra in my chart. But when you have Aries intercepted, it usually kind of like nullifies the Aries energy a little bit much, unless you have placements there. And today, of course, Neptune and Ceres and Chiron all there in Aries. So there is a loud Aries signature. The Giants having both Uranus and Chiron in that intercepted 12th house. I do think it'll be sudden changes to the mentality, maybe quick attitude adjustments. Could be for the Giants, like foot or toe injuries. I know that there's been a lot of talk about turf toe as people were explaining the actual seriousness of it, because it sounds like a made up disease. Turf toe, like grass grows out of your toe. Like, what is this? So that could be something that happens today, but that Chiron being conjunct the Giants Chiron, I think if anything, they are healing things, as their Chiron is natally direct and this one is retrograde. So they could be healing old mental wounds from the past this year, as Chiron slowly gets out of retrograde eventually. Yeah, and we're only like halfway through the year. We have 6 months until the true new year starts. So when I say this year, I don't mean until the end of December. This goes on for quite a while. Okay, so the Giants look fairly stacked today when it comes to the areas of being in the home turf with that 4th house, but that's also things behind closed doors, right? So behind closed doors, they could be having a lot of meetings about how to handle things, how to adjust to emotional changes and shifts, how to mentally and physically stay stronger than the opponent. But yeah, with that moon ruled 4th house, I feel like a lot of it has to come down to emotions today, and they can get really, really flustered and really, really frustrated quickly if they're not careful. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's look at the Chiefs chart, which I'm not biased, okay? I see flaws in all things, so I will definitely tell you where the shortcomings are for the Chiefs as well. I'm not just going to be like, Giants suck. I have been proven wrong the last 2 times this year already, that I do not know the outcome of the games based on these charts alone. So I am looking and learning and adjusting my process each and every time. So today we see the rising sign, the kickoff point for today's game is at 6 degrees Taurus. That is also going to be the theme for the first house. It is ruled by Venus, and it is all Taurus. And then we get to the second house, which is Gemini. So in that little sandwich point, if you're looking at the 9 o'clock position, if this was a clock, You would see the arrow and then the circle with another half circle on top. That is the glyph for Taurus. And then you see that 6 degrees right on top of there. That is where I'm starting from. And we see the Mercury, Moon, and Sun here for the Kansas City Chiefs all in the first house. So as today's game wasn't personal enough, it is going to be even more amplified, even more emotional. And it might take them, once again, a little bit of time to warm up. There could be some quick mishaps with handling the ball. Mostly, like, the reason I'm convinced that this is the right chart to use for the Chiefs and a noon chart on the day the team was founded is going to be the best thing that we have to predict games. Uranus conjunct the sun, and the Chiefs have had nothing but drop passes and miscommunications firing the ball, right? There's been so much back and forth with what they're actually capable of doing, if they're actually talented, is this just a rut happening? What's going on with the Chiefs? And I'm like, look, Uranus conjunct the sun is not easy. So if you have early Gemini placements, if you're born from May 22nd to like May 25th, or honestly, even into the end of May, you are getting rocked by Uranus right now, which is, if you say you're getting rocked by Uranus, yeah, I'm childlike too. It's okay. I can't help it. I'm an Aries. Like, what do you expect? Gemini moon with an Aries. I'm like, I'm forever a child. I will forever make fun of everything. And yet, with my Capricorn stellium, I get incredibly serious about things. So go figure. This Uranus and Sun conjunction is definitely what I feel like has been tripping up the Chiefs a lot this year. The hands have just been so crucial, hands, arms, and the footwork is not a problem. We see all of the Chiefs' Virgo placements there in that 5th house. We see Patrick Mahomes running for his life almost every single game. So without any placements in the 2nd and 3rd house of today's game, going to the 4th house, that North Node is conjunct Jupiter. So while, I think that the Jupiter, let's pull up this tri-wheel, the Jupiter North Node and the Jupiter in the 4th house mixed with the North Node being in the 4th house for the Giants. I keep wanting to call them the Lions because their placements are in Leo, and that's what I'm looking at. But the Jupiter, North Node, and Sun all being in that 4th house for the Giants is going to be a little bit tricky just for the Chiefs because they do have that energy just right there too. So North Node and Jupiter today for the Chiefs is going to be pretty powerful. I think that's going to be helping them defeat the home team, but that is just my opinion. Going into the 5th house, we do see that 24-degree Leo Mars that we were talking about. And I'll go to the tri-wheel again so you guys can see like how everything stacks up. I'm just going through the Chiefs now. They have Uranus as well as Ceres and Pluto, Juno, and Vesta all in there. And I think with my asteroid knowledge getting a little bit better, I'm starting to see how Vesta really is the hearth and the soul of the team. And having that at 18 degrees Virgo and having that conjunct the South Node, it can kind of feel like their fire died out a little bit. Like a cold rush of air blew in and they just can't get it heated back up. With that South Node slowly getting off of their Vesta, it'll be inching towards Juno as it gets closer and closer to Pluto, and then it'll go to Uranus around, it'll be a while. But when it gets up to 1 degree Virgo, that's when we're going to see a lot of possibly tumultuous chaos back and forth, things changing with the Chiefs. But like I said, I'm pretty sure this is the right chart to use for them because we've seen a lot of the same things happening with that Gemini Sun at 0 degrees Gemini and Uranus at the 0 to 1 degrees Gemini that it's been at so far. So very interesting to say the least. Going into that 6th house, we do not have anything for the Chiefs there placement wise. So we go into the 7th house where Neptune and Lilith are happening to be conjunct there in that 7th house. So today is deeply personal, deeply spiritual, and deeply embedded in the Chiefs that they have got to do something powerful to change their momentum and change their trajectory, right? Going into the 8th and 9th house, we do not see anything for today's game with the Chiefs chart. I mean, it's empty for the chart or for the game too, so that's wild. Then we go into that 10th house and we see the Chiefs South Node directly conjunct today's MC of the game, the Midhaven, the highest point on the chart. So that's where the public recognition and legacy part comes in. Very much going to be about who puts in the work today and who is that slow, steady climber, which is why I do think the Chiefs are favored today. Seeing that 22 degrees Saturn in the 11th house of today's game. 11th house ruled by Saturn, which is retrograde in Pisces in that 12th house. And then Chiron in Pisces conjunct the North Node of today. So very much what we're seeing like every week, week to week. It's not just a game chart. It's current transits chart. So having anything conjunct the North Node is automatically going to be something that magnetizes, draws, and amplifies. It's very much a lunar energy. The nodes are connected to the moon, so having that is going to shine a light on weaknesses, shine a light on big wounds that you have looked towards healing or are trying to heal or are in the process of figuring out how to even begin healing. It's very, very powerful. And with that being said, the North Node in Pisces is all about like addictions as well as foot problems. And we're just looking at the very generic terms of Pisces and then having the North Node in there. Also natural forms of healing, alternative ways of healing, medical distrust, finding maybe even large animal therapy, as the 12th house does rule over large animals. And just nature therapy, like I said, alternative things or alternative methods to healing, very, very powerful with this North Node in Pisces. And learning to go with the flow and understanding your relationship to the outside world and how it all connects and we all fit in together and we're all just one human race. Yay! The end of Pisces is some of the most beautiful degrees, and we already made it out of those with the North Node going through the end of Pisces and then heading towards closer and closer to Aquarius as it goes backwards. Then going into that 12th house, the Jupiter in the 12th house. So we've already had this before with the Chiefs. It wasn't exactly great. They kind of seem to have a lot more mental, I would say confusion would be a good word to put, mental traps more than anything. It feel like they went out into their own woods and stepped in their own traps the very first game that they even played with those self-imposed injuries. Very Aries to just accidentally injure somebody that's on the same team. Then we have Venus right on the rising today, and more importantly, exact the part of fortune. So I think a Taurus is definitely going to be a key player in today's game, but let's go ahead and pull up the tri-wheel so we can get the key players and numbers for today's game. You guys go ahead and look at it, and I will do my live process as usual and be right back to yap about it with you. All right, so if you guys are familiar with my process, I like to have numbers to look for and signs to watch for. So the first signs I wanted to talk about for today's game are going to be Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Libra, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Those are going to be the signs to watch for. And then let's go in and do the numbers together because that'll be fun. So first number I'm going to say is that 4, as 4 is the part of fortune today of today's game. And then we're going to do that 6, and then we're going to add those together and get 10. Look at me go. And that's going to be another key number to look for. We're going to go into that middle or that very inner ring that kind of sets the tone for the rest of today's game and look at the numbers there. I'm going to go ahead and say 21 as I'm putting the Venus and the South Node together. That's always fun. You can just watch me add things and see how it works. And I just do whatever. It's fun like that. 29 is going to be another one with the sun at 29 degrees and also that solar eclipse happening at 29 degrees Virgo today. Then we go in and see that 29-degree Libra Mars as well. That's going to be very important for today's game. Going through, let's see what else. So I got 4, 6, 10, 21, 29. Let's do some live addition and see how that goes for me. Oh boy. All right, 50 is going to be another number that we're going to be watching for. And then let's do another one. Let's get like a little bit higher of a number, right? So 64. And then let's do 72 and 83. I do not have Noah Gray's chart pulled up today, but I do know that he is a Taurus, and I think that he's going to have a big game today, and we'll just see how that works out. But yeah, I do have Mahomes and I do have Russell Wilson, so we'll go over that in a little bit. So my numbers to watch for and signs to watch for are pretty simple today. I usually do about 6 signs to watch for. As I mean, look, you could say, look for these signs. They're really going to show out, and there's 12 signs. So 6 is pretty solid number of choice for people to kind of shine today. So definitely we'll be looking at all the signs, the big 3 as well. If I do have their placements, I will let you know and share them with my results because it's fun. I like keeping track. And yeah, of course, I love being right. You know, like I'm a Taurus Venus, Taurus Jupiter, and I love being right, but I also love learning. And I think my love of learning has outdone my love of being right. So that's why this has been so much fun. And I learned so much with you guys. So my signs to watch for are Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Libra, Sagittarius, and Pisces. My numbers to watch for are 4, 6, 10, 21, 29, 50, 64, 72, and 83. So those are the numbers to watch for, and those are the signs to watch for. And this tri-wheel makes it look like it's going to be a creative battle of who wants it more, of course. And with both teams having their north node in the 4th house of today's game, it'll be interesting to see the obsession and how it is like lunar powered versus solar powered and how that shows up in competition, especially in that 4th house where I think represents the home team in a sports chart. So yeah, welcome into my show where I am making my own sports astrology process and you guys get to follow along. It's been really fun so far and I've learned a lot, so hope it keeps going. Yay. This time last year, I was actually on the Kansas City News for my sports astrology work. So that has been fun to look back on and be like, hell yeah, that's where I was this time last year. Who knows where I'll be at fall equinox. I have my magazines coming out tomorrow, and that's what I'm really excited for. So this game is a learning experience. It's an exercise of discipline, of getting up, showing up, and learning to do my hair and makeup all on my own because I am not going to be reliant on a hair and makeup person to make me look amazing, right? I'm gonna learn this myself. The last time I was like doing makeup every single day on my own, because I don't wear makeup anymore. Like I'm not in front of the camera except these shows, and I'm not like a public figure like I used to be. I am the opposite of a public figure. I have hermited the last probably 4 years of my life, and it's been so nice. I stick in my own little bubble, and it's amazing. What's not amazing, we could just do a hard transition right into what's not so amazing, has been watching Patrick Mahomes go through this nodal conjunction with the South Node tormenting his son. We saw it in the Super Bowl, and now we are seeing it still in the first start of the season. So as it's slowly leaving him alone, there's also lots of other things happening. You know, he does have that Saturn in Pisces retrograde as well. So he is still going through his Saturn return with the world watching, and not only the world watching, but everyone criticizing him. So going from being in a 6th house year as he was 29 into a 7th house year as he is now 30. I do think the pressure is going to be off his body and more about his personal one-on-one relationships. So the way that he shows up as a leader as well for his team. So today's game, the Descendant, oh boy, Mars is exactly on the Descendant for today's game. As someone that has Mars exactly opposite my rising, he is going to come off as a certified menace today. And it is going to feel like we are on a playoff game level Mahomes performance, even though we are just simply fighting to see a win for the Kansas City Chiefs. His entire body is on showcase right now with his sun in that 6th house conjunct today's sun. It's about to be Libra season. He is going to have a little bit of a boost with his Venus and Chiron conjunction there, and he's going to feel a little bit more sure of himself. That solar eclipse moon being right on his Venus and Chiron in the 6th house of today's game, as well as him experiencing his Mercury return, I do think that he is going to be a little bit more electric today, as well as that vertex being right there near his Mercury. We got Belly Jelly is in here. Yep, that South Node is hurting Patrick a lot. I think about Saturn and Neptune opposing his Venus, Chiron, and square his moon. Yes, Neptune just being square anyone's moon it's actually sextile my moon right now. And I'm just like, I feel things sometimes, but I'm already a Gemini moon. And so it's like, it's already hard for me to process things in real time. It takes me a while, but I am learning and actually forcing myself to experience things in real time more and more. I am also excited for the Mars return for Mr. Patrick Mahomes coming, as Mars is almost in Scorpio. It's almost time to feel fired up again, right? And Mars in Libra has just been a tenacious and like gnawing feeling. And props to people natally with Mars in Libra, the amount of pressure I feel like you might have on yourselves and that you carry around with you every day has to be studied somehow. My close friend is Mars retrograde in Libra and also Saturn and Pluto, but it's like, it's just amazing to watch them continue to strengthen and never give up over time. They just carry it all on their shoulders and move on. So Mars in Scorpio, my favorite Mars sign by far. If you have Mars in Scorpio or any Scorpio placements, I'm usually like, we're going to be friends. And that's because my Pluto in Scorpio absolutely appreciates them because they're fighters, they're warriors. This Mars on the Descendant is spicy. I have Mars on my Descendant, like I was talking about, right? Mine is an exalted Mars on my Descendant. And this might surprise you, but I rub people the wrong way at times. I come off as a know-it-all. I come off as a boss or someone who thinks that they're already in charge of something. I come off as an ancient elder that's wise beyond their years. My parents just didn't know what to do with me growing up because I was so unable to be taught anything ever. You would just literally have to like give me the things and I would just do it myself. And hyper independence is definitely a quality of mine. There's a certain point of breaking points where that happens. So hopefully with this Mars in Libra in today's game conjunct Patrick's North Node, we see a little bit more of a boost towards what he's been working so hard to uphold within his body, as well as, you know, part of Libra's physical health is being able to keep it all in balance and being able to keep all parts of themselves in balance and having a very Mercury ruled chart for Patrick Mahomes. Having his Mercury in Libra means that he carries a lot of pressure on him, whether he's the backbone of his family or whatever ecosystem he's in. He's used to that kind of pressure. That does not mean it doesn't weigh on them. That's why in my upcoming issue for Fall Equinox for my magazine, The Northern, which here's the summer solstice issue featuring my daughter and I on the cover, and Shadonis's ring. I love her jewelry. And having that alignment and having that balance is so important to Libra placements, that anytime that is out of whack, anytime that they are not feeling supported in being all parts of themselves, then they can crumble and they can fall apart. So I'm looking to see I'm looking forward to see the Mercury return exactly playing out for Mahomes. I think he's going to get better each and every week. He's just going to keep surprising us and keep showing out, regardless what the rest of the team does. Mahomes has a great look for today. All right. His Neptune and Uranus retrograde are both conjunct the MC for today. So keep his bones safe, keep him nice and safe, and keep him from having any wild injuries today. That is the main goal of anything. His O-line has been at best. And I like, this has been a thing ever since I was a kid. I don't know what happens in Kansas City's front office. They're like, all right, we finally have a good quarterback. Let's get guys that have never played left tackle, right tackle, guard, anything before. Let's get some people in there who have no idea what they're doing. Sounds great. $500 million man. Let's have some pillows support him. Like, it's insane. The Chiefs have surprised me with the way that they're able to adjust. We'll see how Josh Simmons does this game. Hopefully things are going well. But let's take a look at one of my least favorite people. Russell Wilson, everyone. Yay. Okay, so let's just get this over with. No, I'm kidding. Russell Wilson's Jupiter, starting off in the first house. His Jupiter is retrograde at that 0 degrees of Gemini. Maybe that's why he's slow to get things, because he is incredibly psychic, but he just having that retrograde there can be like, it takes you 3 to 5 business days to understand a message. So that can be hard. As someone that feels like their moon is retrograde, even though that's not possible, with my Gemini moon at 3 degrees, it's just like having this so much information and knowledge and not having the right outlet for it. So him writing is actually a really good outlet and would be a really good outlet while Uranus is in Gemini. But unfortunately, Russell Wilson likes to copy and paste things. Going into the second house, nothing for Russell Wilson in today's game. Then we see his Chiron in Cancer there at that 5 degrees, which is known as the train wreck degree. Mentally, he's going to have to pull it together and not get T-boned by this defense, because they are coming in hot today. Going into the game's 5th house today, we do see his moon at 20 degrees Leo, which is right there in the 5th house. So he might be showing up as Danger Russ. Oh boy. His South Node and Vertex. He does have a timed chart. So it's 12:09 p.m. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is verified on a couple sites. So we'll see if this is accurate, but having his vertex conjunct the 9 degree of Virgo, that is one of my favorite placements or favorite degrees because of the symbol, which I believe, if I can do this off the top of my head, it'll be amazing. An expressionist painter making a futuristic drawing. So this is one of the art degrees. So Russell Wilson, if you are watching this, your next thing that you should be doing in your career after being quarterback is going into painting or making some sort of drawings or sculpture or something with art. So I'm looking forward to seeing that play out in his lifetime, because being a quarterback is just frustrating at this point for Giants fans. Okay. Seeing that Venus is also going to be conjunct his South Node and Vertex and Juno all there in the 5th house, I do think he gets creative today. I do think we see some shining moments of Russell's. I also think we see him kind of get a little bit sandwiched in at some point with that 7th house. His Venus is conjunct Mahomes' Mars. That's going to be okay. So perfect example, Taylor Swift's Mars is conjunct Travis Kelce's Venus, both in Scorpio. So Mahomes is the Taylor Swift and Kelce is, and Russell Wilson is the Kelce. So Mahomes has the upper hand, okay? That is just the fact when you have a Venus and Mars conjunction, especially in a sign like Scorpio, the Mars person is going to have the upper hand compared to the Venus person, just because Mars is at home in Scorpio and Venus is like, I don't like this. Then we see Russell Wilson's Pluto at 13 degrees in that 7th house. So today's game is very personally transformative for him. His Mercury is also in that 7th house. So He could be quite vocal with the opposing team or going up against people today. We'll just see how that kind of plays out. It is conjunct Vesta in the 7th house, which 3 degrees. It's the game of chess degree in the Sabian symbols. It's the degree of 2 men playing chess. And the solution degree is a wise old owl. So it's all about this wisdom and this like higher knowledge. So if they keep the higher knowledge burning, Russell Wilson will be able to be the messenger of that with Mercury there. Who knows? Also his sun. That can very much be he gets burned out a little bit. Maybe the other people in this situation end up dominating Russell. Who knows? In the 9th house of today's game, he does have Uranus as well as Saturn and Neptune right there in the 9th house, which is the represented to me as the away team or the travel team. So he could feel the crushing pressure there. That could be where the pressure comes from. Or he could be standing out and shocking in the world. Who knows? Going into that 10th house for Russell Wilson, he does have his Pallas Athena there conjunct today's Pallas Athena retrograde, which it's my Pallas return. So, haha, thank you. I'm learning. I'm getting you more and more insight with the Pallas return. That's all I can tell you. Russell Wilson's north node is at 9 degrees Pisces, and today's north node is at 18 degrees. So yes, he is going through his nodal return slowly but surely. This could also be the year that Russell Wilson considers retiring. Who knows? That's kind of a theme of a nodal return, is shifting paths, and we'll just see how that all works out for him, right? That is like his north node would be in his 1st or 2nd house. Probably his 1st house, but could be in his 2nd house. So if it is in his 1st or 2nd house, I could see him easily retiring this year once the nodes get closer. Then we see his Mars in Aries conjunct Neptune retrograde in Aries, as well as Saturn retrograde in Pisces, Ceres retrograde in Aries, and Chiron retrograde in Aries. So a lot of retrograde energy, and his Mars direct in Aries is where Mars likes to be, Aries and Scorpio, and it's exalted in Capricorn. So this is very much more of a mental, like kind of hot-headed thing. So if Russell loses his cool today, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of temperature or tone that rubs people the wrong way, or he just shows up all over the place or a little bit chaotic. I could absolutely see that happening. He is kind of going through a Mars opposition, even though Mars is on its way into Scorpio. Then it'll be in conjunct his Mars. Look at that. All these fun. This is Russell Wilson's chart, Red Hawks. So this is the former Seattle Seahawks quarterback that we are looking at, who is now with the Giants. I had to keep up and figure out what was even going on with Russ. I thought he was at the Steelers, and then I learned that he's actually with the Giants. So here we are, all learning together. But yeah, I think that this is going to be interesting for today's game in general. We're going to go back to the tri-wheel of today's game, and I do think the Chiefs are going to be winning, let's say by 1 point. Just to have fun with it. We're going to win by 1 point because this is another jam-packed game of chaos. Belly Jelly has mentioned the eclipse is square Russell Wilson's Uranus directly today. I wonder if he's going to be a chaotic mess. Abso-freaking-lutely. That square anything. Like the eclipse today is opposite my MC and opposite my north node. So it's conjunct my IC and conjunct my south node. And I'm just like, okay, we are in it. We got an hour left before the eclipse. That's why I wanted to get on here and kind of make this short and sweet today and not dive too much into anything unless you guys had questions, unless you guys had anything that you wanted to talk about. I am all ears. You are welcome to join in the conversation. Red Hawk says that Russell Wilson is a bandwagoner because he has been on so many teams. I don't think he has the option. Like he was Seahawks. I predicted Russell Wilson going to Denver before it even happened. Like, I guess the week before it happened, everyone was like defending Pete Carroll and like defending how they're going to keep Russell Wilson because he was going to stay there forever. And I'm like, yeah, but when he goes to Denver, and my man was like, what do you mean when he goes to, he's not getting traded. He's not going anywhere. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. The next week rolls around, Russell Wilson traded to Denver. I was shocked. I was like, oh, okay. I kind of forgot that I'd even said that. And then it happened and I was like, oh, cool, I think. But I had been looking at Russell Wilson's chart because he was so irritating to me at the time. And it was like just a lot of things happening in his seventh house. So I know that he's got a lot going on personally for sure. But football wise, it doesn't look like his head's going to really be in the game today. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Mahomes finally gets his win under his belt, but it's by the hair of his chin, which I believe he does have hair on his chin. I can't remember. I can't keep up what people look like. I can't even keep up with what people are on what team. So I'm doing my best here with that. But honestly, it's been such a roller coaster for me the last few weeks. I can show you guys. I've been making all sorts of things. This was last month's offering to the Lionsgate gods, or I can't remember when I debuted this. I think it was right before Lionsgate. Everyone hates Lionsgate. I get it. You guys think it's not real, but if you study ancient Egyptian times, it was the rise of Sirius as the dog star, and then it was also the flooding of the Nile. And now that the Nile doesn't flood, none of this really makes sense, but it is a thing. I studied with an amazing scholar, Kathleen McGowan, that is all into Egyptology. So she is amazing. And it is a real portal of time, but we'll get into that another day. I don't have the energy to defend Lionsgate to everyone right now. Thank you, Red Hawk. Go Chiefs. I don't like them, but good luck. That means the world to me. If people just enjoy following along with the things that I am learning and saying and growing with all this, even better. But like I said, I do have my Sabian Symbols guidebook. It is available for free. It is so many pages of learning your personal placements, and it goes through the Linda Hill's website, sabiansymbols.com. All of the descriptions and all of the things are available for free on her website. You do have to then toggle with the exact degrees. The site naturally rounds up, so you need to go one down if you're going to be looking for your exact degrees. But she also has an ebook available, which is the copy of this book online. Yeah, I know my copy is so busted, but it's like, it's the book I use the most. So very excited about all the things that I have coming up. Like I said, I will be sharing the new copies of my magazine, The Northern. This just happens to be the one that I have next to me. Our new issues get in tomorrow, so I'm very excited. With the fall equinox, we are going into autumn finally. It is Libra season. It is the love of my life's solar return season, so I am very excited to be celebrating it. And I get to learn what being a Libra is like through him each and every day. As an Aries sun, dating a Libra sun, and my Aries Juno is directly opposite his sun, and his Libra Juno is directly opposite my sun. We are very much a complete and powerful duo, and I learn so much from him all the time, and how people can be a reflection of who you are, and the people that you attract being, a type of perversion of you that is like something that you get to understand more about yourself. And especially with Libras, they are such mirrors of the world around them. So I feel lucky each and every day to be surrounded by Venus risings. It is just my dad and I that are cardinal rising. So we're the only people that kind of march to the beat of our own drum. Everyone else in this household is so loving and so caring and works so well in like a little community system. They're very like active, and they keep in their own little worlds, and very creative, very talented. My son and daughter are some of the most magical people I have ever met, and I happen to create them. So there's that. It's been an honor to be able to bring you guys an open-minded point of view through merging the stars with the physical sports world. I am learning as I go. The Chiefs are my true passion. I've loved them since I was a little kid, as you guys saw with my 1994 Chiefs picture of me being like, yeah, I'm in the jersey, woohoo. It's just nice to know that, I can merge all the things I love into one. And I talk about that a lot in my upcoming magazine. I am very vulnerable when it comes to sharing parts of my life that I don't normally talk about because they're not fun. No one wants to talk about childhood when you lose your childhood home and you have to say goodbye to your trees for the last time. Like, that's hella depressing. So I wanted to focus on how becoming a witch was something that was so natural and how we all have natural magic living within us. You do not have to wear a pointy hat or a costume to be considered a witch. You can simply transform the space around you into a more magical existence for yourself and others. And that to me is more magical than anything else. How you make people feel, how you encourage others, how you show up for others, how you show up for yourself. These are all the most magical things that you can learn about yourself. And you happen to be able to learn them all through your astrology chart. So if there's anything that I can teach about the world, about being in this world, I've been in this world for 37 and a half. Tomorrow is my half birthday. 37 and a half years of experience. The first 30 of them, I had no knowledge of astrology. I just had minimal knowledge of like sun signs. That's really it. So during my Saturn return, I discovered astrology all over again, and it's been 7.5 magical years of fun since then. I am so grateful for being able to learn the astrology of not only the people around me, my children, my partner, my father, my mom, and her husband. Like, I have this collection of amazing clients that have turned into like a little community that have all rallied around me and said, keep going. Your worth is not based on what you produce. It is based on the quality of interactions and things that you bring to this world. And it's like, it's so nice knowing that I don't have to be on all the time. I don't have to be perfect. I went through a lot this year already on my own, including going up against Bell's palsy in April and coming out victorious against it by May. That was a huge battle that I went through. Now I am currently nursing my knee back to life and back to health. I refuse to just get it drained and shove more steroids and antibiotics into it. So I have a swollen knee, and it's only because I've been stubbornly not getting it fixed. And now I'm going to do things the natural and holistic way. So I'm working with my amazing chiropractor, getting acupuncture, getting laser treatments, and getting adjusted, as well as doing rehab for my knee and learning how to properly take care of myself. Oh my gosh, it's a Saturn square. I'm so excited. But it's just been, I've been able to learn how to be myself again, and it's all been able to happen through this amazing platform that I have, whether you're watching on YouTube or watching on Twitter. I will not call it X. Sorry, Elon. If you're a fellow Cancer rising, but you're batshit crazy, and I don't know what you're doing with half the things on this platform. So I just hope that this has been streaming the whole time to Twitter properly, and I'm not going to get immediately axed the moment I criticize Elon. Oh gosh. But I've been able to connect to so many people, including the people that helped me author an entire book about the astrology of 2025. It's been magical to be able to look back and see all the things I've already done this year and the things I've already accomplished. And I'm announcing another project in my magazine coming up tomorrow, and you'll be able to download that copy, and it'll be on my website, northernastrology.com. So yes, the Chiefs will be winning by 1 point today. The numbers to look for are 4, 6, 10, 21, 29, 50, 64, 72, and 83. The signs to watch for are Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Libra, Sagittarius, and Pisces. I'm looking forward to today's game. I'm looking forward to the next time that we meet. I honestly have no idea who they're even playing and what time or what day that is, but I'll figure it out when we get off of here. And I'll just rally around whatever day that is, and I'll be right back here. My favorite part of the day now, or the weekend, is watching my son in tackle football. They won their game this weekend, and I'm so proud of them. And it's been like, that's where my heart is. So these Kansas City Chiefs games, they're entertaining to watch. I don't do sports betting, but if you do, please bet responsibly. Neptune at 0 degrees Aries is definitely a volatile state for trying to gamble at the moment. So just be, wise about it. Don't bet your mortgage if you can't, pay your mortgage. These are just kind of things that I think are kind of self-explanatory, but when we're talking about sports betting, it's always good to just remind people, don't bet it if you don't have it. But as always, things are very entertaining and it'll be a very spicy game today. I do think it's going to be an interesting one to look at just because of all. Let's look at the game solo just one last time. I'll have this as we exit, but just having Venus being the ruling planet, having Venus in Virgo, you're gonna feel the nitpickiness, you're gonna feel the critical vibes, but you're also gonna feel a connection to the physical body and maybe the physicality of returning a little bit more. So we'll see how this game goes. We'll see how everything shows up, but it's going to be quite a ride, and I look forward to seeing you guys whenever the next game is. You guys have plenty of time before the game starts. We've got about 45 minutes before the eclipse is exact, and I'm going to go celebrate with the people that I love because that is what my job on this earth is to do. So love you guys too. I hope you all have an amazing week ahead. My whole, let's be nice to everybody and be super complimentary and heartfelt lasted until yesterday, leaving the youth football game. This woman and her kids are just all over the place and having a bad knee, not being able to walk through crowds already very well was just very inconvenient. I might have called somebody a dumb bitch. It's fine. I did my best. I'm being honest about sharing that up until that point, I was fucking killing it. So this week, I only get better, and I'm looking forward to sharing my journey with you. I found the Marcus Aurelius quote. It was in my magazine that I was looking for last time, and I'm going to be reading it to myself every single day. It is above my nightstand, and I'll be reading it to myself every single day when I wake up because I am not going to let eclipse season get me. I was born during an eclipse. I'll probably go out like a shooting star or like a magical conjunction of some sort. You know, my energy is larger than life, so why wouldn't I go out as something incredible as well? So I'm looking forward to the in-between and continuing to learn and grow each and every week alongside with you all. So with that, my name is Gracey, and I will see you next time.